be doing Greg's new Lionsgate trading system here. I added one modification, just one thing. But here it is, completed. I'm going to go through step by step. And so follow along. I'm not a fancy YouTuber. I'm not going to be adding in like, here, do this, step one and put it on the screen for you. But the idea here is just, give you a quick overview of how to set it up. So let's start from scratch here. Let's see. So reset to factory defaults. We're just going to start from the very beginning. First thing you want to do, let's go ahead and get rid of this volume subgraph. I don't care about volume. This is the basics here. We're going to get rid of the grid, change the background to, I like it just completely black, and then I like to get rid of these wicks. So right here you're at under the appearance tab under chart settings. So, and obviously chart settings is right there. So then we want to change this to a 1 day intraday under the time frame there. 1 day, 15 minute. Because you're a day trader, you just care about that day. So there you go. So now you got a nice little, clear picture. What I like about Greg's trading systems is he's always coming out with a new one, but they always seem to get a little bit better and simpler. And that's the key, I think, is that they just get easier and simpler. So you want to come up to studies. Our first thing is come in here and type Keltner channels, one of Greg's favorites. And then we're going to add in the whole moving average, another of Greg's favorites. It's both very good. Stochastics as well. He's a master of these stochastics. So you want the full diff, and then you also want the stochastic full on there. And I'm going to add one more just because it's going to give you some nice levels to trade off too, just as additional confirmation. Add the pivot points in there. And then also, yeah, that doesn't matter. Okay, so on the Keltners, the settings are basically just this factor needs to be 0.5. And then everything else, I think, is already good to go. So the next thing you want to do on the Keltners is get rid of the average. So you got these three. This average is going to be that middle line. Get rid of that. Just unclick the show plot. And then for the upper band, make it green. And the style is going to be this broken line here. And upper band or lower band is going to be red. And the style is going to be that. So you should be set there as far as Keltner goes. Whole. Make this down yellow and the up blue, and then you're going to draw as this little, you just come down here to this little arrow thing, and that should take care of that. The length on that, everything's already set for you as far as that goes. He's just using the 20. Pivot points are fine, just leave them as they are. Now the diff here, stochastic diff, whole, low, close, this is going to be 13, the K period. This is going to be 5, and this is going to be 13. And you just leave everything else as is. As far as me, these up signals, if you want to use these arrows as confirmation to get in, I just make these huge because they're kind of small and they don't stick out very well. So everything else is fine. Leave that as is, and then stochastic full. You want to change this one to yellow, or I'm sorry, cyan. Excuse me, and then this one to yellow. So full K is cyan, full D is yellow. Overbought, I like to put red. That's kind of like, hey, it's overbought, warning signal. Oversold, green, like, hey, let's go buy. And then these up signals, I don't even think they end up showing. So, and then as far as the settings go, 80, 20, 14. Basically 2 weeks, and then, or I'm sorry, 14 periods. I say 2 weeks, and then close. So it's then close. Well, this is 7 here. So slowing period is 7. So high, low, close, weighted, and then no. Okay, so this should, after you do all that, hopefully I didn't go too fast. If I did, slow it down, stop, and take your time. And then you also want to drag this in here. So the thing I like about Thinkorswim is you can combine the lower indicators together. So you just pull it and drag it into the same box. So then you hit apply. This should give you a nice little layout here. And then next thing too, I forgot to tell you this, is on the appearance, change this to Helkanashi. Did I not get rid of the wicks? I thought I got rid of the wicks. Yeah, okay, there you go. You have a nice setup there. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty nice. Where are my pivot points at? So the pivot points should be in here. I'm not really sure why they're not showing. Did I turn them off? Troubleshoot a little bit here. I wonder if I gotta go to 2-day. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so if you want the pivot points to show, you have to use a 2-day versus 1. Oh, well, let me. Oh, that's why, because it's just moving it over to the next day. Okay. All right, so for this example, I'm using a 2-day. Just so you can see what the pivot points look like and why I like them. The pivot points are extremely important. I've been watching charts for a year, and pivot points, that mid pivot point is just basically your best friend. So here's he did this on a good day when this signal really worked very well. Let's go back. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can show only today now. So I'm gonna see if we can go back a couple days and just look and see if this thing has been working well. So here's today. So yeah, I got an up signal there, right on a what you would call support 1, support 2, support 3, resistance 1, resistance 2, resistance 3. So right on support 1, you got this little green candle that comes through. What you could do is go ahead and find a strike that you like. I just kind of look at even numbers. Greg is going to go in here and he's going to buy probably this 300. This is the Qs, by the way. He trades SPY, but we can look at SPY because he's doing the SPY, which is good too. SPY is great. It's just a little less volatile, but so. Trade this, the way you trade is you find a strike you like on some options. So 365, 366, 367, the more gains are going to be earned the higher the strike, the farther out, if you're right. So but the odds of you being right are lower when you're trading options. You could just trade the instrument itself, but so here's a little bit different than on the Qs. This actually came in underneath the support 1. You still got that signal. So basically what this would tell you is that it wasn't as strong of a move. The Qs obviously bounced right off support 1 and then even got up over the pivot. So a much better trade was had on yesterday for on the Qs, but waiting for that signal. So you basically had a signal going in pre-market. I wouldn't mess around with that. I would wait for the signal to generate during the day. So you had a down signal there, and you probably wouldn't have made a whole lot in the down. And I think that's mainly because you're in these support pivots. So you're like pretty much at all-time highs, and you're trying to short. It's going to be really hard. Unless there's just a flush, there's so many positions underneath you that have to be liquidated for you to catch a down move. So it's better in general, it's better to wait to buy the dip, at least right now. So you got to know the context of where you're at, but I would be looking at buying the dips in general, just waiting. So here's your signal. You got the arrow. You had the green to go. You had an upward trending. So even then too, you see the Keltner channels were up trending. So trying to short this signal probably you would have made a little bit, but you would have had to try and time it really well here at the bottom. You had a little bit of support there to kind of go off of. But so here's your first signal. You had this higher low formed, upward trending Keltners. If for more confirmation, would have waited till it got closed over this this pivot here. But you can see basically right there was your signal to go, and you could have just held this until you get to the next target to the pivot, and that would have been, by the 365s, you probably could have caught 10-15% there if you were using out longer dated. If you were a gambler, you could have just bought some lottos and probably got a double or triple there. But let's go back. Let's go to Thursday. So Thursday, using this system, again, opening under the pivot. The reason I like these pivots is going to give you an idea of where the context of where it's at relative to yesterday. And there's even some more indicators that you can put in here using Thinkorswim. Like the previous day's high and low, it can plot that for you automatically. And it's really nice because every day that trades is going to be based off of levels that were generated yesterday, levels that were generated last week, levels that were generated last month. So the more clarity you can get on the context of where price is, the better your odds of generating a signal. But you come into today underneath the pivot, and you had your first signal, which wasn't too bad of a signal, but you had these Keltners that were basically coming down, and so your risk reward here is okay. You could definitely catch an up wave coming off of this support here, but you don't really you don't even touch the pivot for today. So the rest of the day you're basically just watching some chop, which was kind of annoying. So but what's good about a chop day like this is it's called a balance day. So they're basically just people are consolidating and taking profits and getting more positions. So this kind of day usually lends itself, it sets up for a range day. So you're wanting like breakout days, either up or down, but most likely up in this market. So you got this range day that opens lower, but you can expect some more movement. So your signals on this day, Friday, are going to be better than the signals on a balance day. Now let's look at Wednesday. So you can see why we balanced. We had a balance day, and then we had a range day. So keeping tabs on those is going to help you, again, have context on what the market's likely to do. So we had this real opened up above the pivot, but then it just flushed. So you had your signal here. You could wait till it breaks this pivot here. You see how it kind of stalled here, but then it just the rest of the day. So if you kind of knew what was going to happen, since we were basically at all-time highs anyways, and I always have that kind of stuff marked on my own charts, all-time highs and like the previous all-time high, just to kind of see if, because once that previous all-time high breaks, then I know that they're basically just selling it. But this was basically an all-time high pre-market is when it hit, but you had a nice range day. So you had the range day, which you would have caught some really nice gains on the downside there. And then you had the balance day, which you had some trades, but you didn't really have any good trades. And then you had another range day where you could have caught this move here at the end of the day. Could have caught a pretty decent down move too. I'm not going to lie about that. But typically what you want to do coming into the day is have, you don't want to try and react too much. You want to have like a plan, like, okay, we're at all-time highs. What was the previous day like? Let's see, a nice range day. So you had a huge range day previous day, and basically it just retraced itself. So, coming in here, we were expecting balance. You didn't get balance. You got a break. So you had range, and then you had balance. So I would, here's like, if you don't see balance here on a huge range day, then this is why this is happening right here. So just basically retraced all of its gains. So anybody making money here just basically took all their profits here. And then a lot of people made money on the downside. A lot of people lost money that were trying to get long right here. And that's basically what happened. Is people are trying to get long right here, getting long here, and then just get destroyed. But after these two moves happen, that's where you get the balance. And then now we're having some more directional indication here after that. So it kind of hit a low, higher low, and now let's see how it follows through. So this wasn't a huge range day. This was kind of like a bigger balance day. And so I would expect Monday to be, to be lit. We'll see. They did just come out with the Pfizer approval, I guess. So let's go back to, let's see, what day is this? It's Tuesday. Here's Monday. So this is basically a recap of the week. And then so Monday you had kind of a chop day too. I mean, it was kind of you could have made some money on Monday. For sure. But you see how these pivots kind of, contain the price a little bit and give you an idea of where price is versus the previous day. So it kind of helps you have a good idea. So here's where it breaks the pivot and even gets over resistance 1, almost to resistance 2. So just to give you guys a little bit of an idea and thinking into how I trade, this system would be pretty nice. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be really, it's very, very simple. As long as you have, it's not going to be as easy as just buying the arrow whenever you get the signal, because you're going to want to practice and have some idea of the range that can occur. I personally am going to like trading these Qs, mainly because they're the bigger ranges. Tech has a little bit of obviously a little bit more bullishness in tech in general. Maybe not right now, but when it starts to move, it really moves. Which you can kind of see with tech. SPY had that move that was basically completely, it moved up here and then retraced to the same level. So SPY did this, where this came in higher. This came in on the pivot. And so this is actually, to me, this is more bearish. SPY had started here, came back to there. So, I mean, it's not even, it didn't go lower. This started here, came lower. So the Qs are likely to have more range, but they're more bearish to me. Like, if you were going to trade to the downside, the Qs are probably your best bet. So there it is, guys. Hopefully this helps you a little bit. I know Greg he keeps switching his systems around, but I think he's doing it for a good reason. I think he keeps improving it. So take it for what it is, use it, and practice with it. You got to do like 30 trades, maybe just paper trade it or trade really small, get a good idea of how it's working, and then start scaling in with bigger size when you get more confident with what you're doing. So, and always keep the context of the markets in your minds as well. So, and then if Greg is putting out signals, take them. That's what I say. So anyways, see you guys.